Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first pre-season race of League of Europe. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Car Mentalist. I will be your main commentator today, taking you through proceedings. Joining me today is a friend of mine and my fellow commentator from D3 last season. It's Iro Dylan. Dylan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Aiden?
I'm doing very well, thank you. So, first race of the season, first race on the new game for League of Europe. And as you can see, as we're loading into the lobby already, the first race of the preseason is going to be China. After China, we're followed by a race in France and a race in Great Britain before the full season gets underway. Just going into this race, Dylan, looking at the list of people that we've got in the lobby, who kind of stands out to you at the moment?
Well, for me personally, I think Matt and Caesar are the main competitors for the win in this preseason lobby,
Hmm.
because these two were, of course, D1 drivers last season, and they've now actually put in some sort of D3 lobby from last season. So, yeah, I expect that one of them to win.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm probably kind of on the same page as you with that one as well. Just a heads up to everyone that's watching or participating as well. This is only the lobby for the first preseason race. After this, the orgs will have a look at the preseason races, see who kind of fits where, and lobbies will be reordered for the next two races at least. So it will be shuffled around. So this isn't necessarily going to be the tiers for the season. This is just a way of getting to know people's pace in qualifying and race pace as well, and seeing where everyone fits. So these aren't going to be the final. These aren't going to be the final divisions. But yeah, like you said, Matt and especially Matt and completely forgotten Caesar. They were definitely D1 drivers last season, and the majority of the drivers in this field are D3 drivers from last season as well. So definitely expect them to stand out. As first person onto the track, it looks like is Packer in the McLaren. He was second in the championship last time in D3. What do you kind of expect from Packer in this race?
Well, I know Packer on a personal level, and I know how much he hates this track.
Mm.
So, personally, I think all he wants to do is just drive his own race and, yeah, just bring the car home, basically. Even though damage is off, he just doesn't want to spin. He wants a clean race, no incidents whatsoever. And, yeah, I don't expect him to fight for the podium or win in this lobby.
Yeah, absolutely. That is actually another thing you mentioned there as well, with damage being off. Obviously, damage is off for this race. That does mean that the likelihood of a safety car is very unlikely unless someone retires on track for some sort of reason, or there's multiple cars piling together that have caused a stoppage on track of some sort. Other than that, it's very unlikely we're going to see a safety car today. So this is all going to be about pure pace. I'm just looking through the rest of the field. Who is in the field that's returning from D3 last season? Breeze returning from D3 last season. Educk, he got moved up to D2, but he's been moved back into this lobby. Tiger as well, TCG Storm, Callum and Tiggerby, all D3 drivers last season. There's a few new names in this field as well. We've got Paul, we've got Fuselim, MMA Slash, Robert Sum. Excelling is XL Dan from last season. He was a D2 driver. He's been moved into this lobby. Ashvin, the Big Panther, Brandon. They are all new names as well. So look out for maybe some surprise performances. But we're going to go on board with Packer for the first one. Dylan, do you want to take us through a lap around China?
Yes, here we go, down into turn one, shifting down through the gears, keeping it close to the inside of the corner. Red Bull gets out of the way nicely. Packer goes down into second, doesn't use first gear for the extra rotation out of the corner. Gets nice on the power. It looks like a nice first sector. Let's see the sector time. And it's a 23.9. I believe you can go faster than that. Hooks the inside nicely on turn 4. Gets a nice exit off of turn 4. Now to the long swooping left-hander. Difficult to stay fully on the power in the race, but in quality it's no problem whatsoever. Keeps it nice to the inside. Goes a little bit, misses the apex ever so slightly. Goes a little bit wide. And still it looks like a decent lap from Packer so far. As he brakes just before the curbstone. Hits the curb nicely. Nice line. Shifting up through the gears. You want to get the best exit possible on the straight. As he goes down the main straight now, it's all about downforce or straight line speed in this part of the section. And he's going to brake at around the 100 meter board just before it actually. He hooks up the hairpin nicely in second gear. To the final corner he now goes. Oh, goes a little bit wide. It's probably invalidation. It was.
Yes, and
Back at 30.3 though.
Yeah, 30.3, a relatively competitive time for people that are going to set lap times on the softs. Expect to see people drop into the 29s. Excelling's actually just gone to pole with a 33.3 himself as well. Edot goes on a 31.2 on a set of softs and a 30.2 from the Big Panther. So people committing to the soft tyre strategy. That's one thing we actually kind of forgot to mention before the start of this race, is that there is a real mix of strategies here. You can start on the soft tyres, but the soft tyres do die within about 3 or 4 laps of the race. So maybe Packer's invalidation at the last corner was a strategy, in that he might want to start on a different set of tyres, maybe the mediums or the hards. Maybe a better option for him. And we've got Tiggerby, Caesar and Storm out on the track at the moment on laps on medium tyres, so they've gone for something a bit different as Paul goes into P3. Tiggerby does a 35.6 in the end on medium, so that's obviously not the most competitive time in the world. He can definitely go faster than that. Having a look, Brandon does a 33.8. There's probably a mistake in that lap as well. More time to gain. Roberts coming around the last corner. He's invalidated his time, and his time's well off as well. He's in the 37, so a mistake on that lap from him. Storm does a 33.2 on the set of mediums. A 31.6 for MMA Slash. He goes into P6 then. But yeah, the people on the medium tyres...
Was it 31.9 on the softs?
31.9, yeah. Not exactly the most competitive times at the moment. That's kind of the first ones over and done with, apart from Matt, who I believe is on a lap. He's coming down the back straight. Expect to see him jump to the front of the field. Let's see what he can do at the end of his lap. Goes into the hairpin. He's backed off.
Lap time is not that fast. Yeah, I think he backed off this lap.
Yeah, it does look that way, doesn't it? That he has backed off somewhat. He's going straight into the pit lane, so he's not even going to complete the lap time. We've got Robertson. He's on a lap. He's in the middle part of the lap. First time we've seen this man in LOE, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of pace he has. He's a little bit away from the apex in the double left-hander. Gets on the power nicely, though, on the exit, coming up to the end of the second sector. It's a 51 flat from Packer. It's a 51.2, so this is going to be a mid 1 minute 30 at the moment. There's a big gap between 4th and 5th, so he's going to slot into that gap quite nicely at this point in the lap. So he comes through the long right-hander. Very easy to break traction in this corner, very easy to spin. We've just had someone jump up the field. Didn't quite catch who that was. I think that was Caesar, actually. And Stefan Roebuck has joined the session late. Unfortunately, he won't be able to take part in qualifying, but he'll be in for the race. Here comes Robert then to the end of the lap. Keeps it in second gear, tries not to break the traction on the exit. Comes up to the last corner then. Goes down into 4th gear. Not as confident as some other people through the last corner, but he comes up to cross the line. It's a 31 flat actually, and he does go in that gap in between 4th and 5th, and that's on his second lap on those soft tyres. So he's going to want to improve on a new set.
Coming back to what you pointed out, I didn't actually catch who joined the lobby, but there's a new feature in this game that you are able to join through quality, although it might be a little bit glitchy, so we'll still have to see him wait and find out if he actually can go on track, but I think it's a new feature in the game.
So fingers crossed that he has that available to him, that he can actually join the lobby and put a lap time in. That'd be great to see. Hopefully he can do that. Everyone now, though, coming back out on another set of soft tyres, ready to go for their next run. Callum's just starting his first run. He's in the Williams. So he's come around the last corner to start his first flying lap on a set of soft tyres. Let's see what he can do. A very good qualifier in the second half of last season. He obviously got moved down from D2 into the D3 field at the end of last season. And he was a very strong qualifier. I think he ended the season as well with 2 wins. Let's wait and see what he can do. Coming to the end of the first sector, you want to be in around a 0.8 in the first sector to be really competitive, and it's actually a 24.3, so a bit of a poor first sector for Callum. So he comes out of the hairpin, staying in 3rd gear actually through the hairpin, so he doesn't want to break traction at all. Obviously a lot of people on this new game now moving to off traction because it is easier to manage than 2019. Seems that some people haven't quite got used to that just yet. Callum may be one of these people struggling with traction at the moment. Skipping in very high gears, 4th there through the double left-hander, and touches the grass on the inside ever so slightly, but gets away with it. Coming to the end of the second sector, it's a 51.5, so he's actually a little bit off the time at the moment. He's around Eduk's time at the moment. Always a lot of understeer there in 4th gear. That's the problem with running higher gears, trying to get the better traction, is you're invoking a lot of understeer, and that goes to show with Callum there. You understeer completely off the track in the long right-hander, coming down the back straight. He hasn't got a lot of straight line speed either in that Williams. It's only peaking about 207 miles an hour. Some other people have been peaking about 210. So Callum's struggling a little bit with straight line speed as well. Doesn't look that hooked up this lap from Callum. There's definitely more time in it as he comes up to the last corner. Keeps it in 5th. A little bit of understeer wide. He's actually derating as well before the line. And it's only a 31.3 in the end. He can only go P7 with that.
And with that lap, there were a lot of mistakes in the lap. I think he can go way faster than that.
Absolutely, there is a lot of time on the board, as you say. See if anyone else is on a lap at the moment. Packer's on a lap. I think he might have actually just completed another lap and is going again on the same set. Unless he's just started this lap, I'm not quite sure. Matt's also on a lap in the other Williams. He does a 24 flat in the first sector, and he's on the medium tyre, so that's a really competitive first sector for a medium tyre run. See what he can do in the middle part of the lap as well. Expect the fastest medium tyre run around here to be maybe a high, maybe mid 1 minute 30 if you absolutely nail the lap. It's 51.2 at the end of the second sector, so this is very close to Robert's time. He's in P5 at the moment, which is a pretty competitive time for the medium tyres. So he comes through the long right hander now. Got plenty of room in front of him. He's got the 2 Red Bulls in front. I think the 2 Red Bulls might be actually giving each other slipstream. I'm not quite sure. It does look like that. Yeah, I think Tiger's actually giving a slipstream to Big Panther, so that's brilliant for the Red Bull man. He's going to cross the line before Matt does. We're going to stay on board with Matt as he finishes the lap. He's short shifting very early coming out of the corners. He has got a bit of traffic in Tiger, who's going to have to get through the last corner. Coming up to the line, Panther improves to a 30 flat, so that slipstream definitely helped in the last sector. Matt goes P5 on a set of mediums with a 30.8. That's a brilliant lap from Matt.
Yeah, very good lap. Just in front of Robert, also on the Robert is on the softs, I think. No.
Yeah, Robert is on the softs.
He's on the softs. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's a good lap from Matt. Really good lap.
Yeah, as EduK now jumps to second. Yeah, EduK jumps into second on 30.1. That's much more like it. Ashvin, meanwhile, in P6 in the Alpha Tauri, he does a 30.6. That's a good lap from Ashvin. A little bit of time to gain, though, to get in with the Ferraris in front of him, the 2XL drivers, who are actually only separated by 5 thousandths of a second. Really close between Brie and Dan at the moment.
As Paul has grabbed provisional pole with a 29.9.
Oh, wow. Yeah, completely missed that. But yeah, Paul's grabbed pole position, like you say, with a 29.9. Brilliant lap in the Renault. See, the first ban into the 29s. Can anyone get any closer than that? I think Tiger's on a lap at the moment. He's now going to get a slipstream from his Red Bull teammate. Great teamwork between these two. It's a brilliant slipstream given by Panther down the back straight. Is this going to help Tiger maybe to a front row start? Is he going to knock his teammate off a second place on the grid? He comes into the hairpin. A little bit of a lock-up. He's missed the apex quite a bit, actually. That's going to cost him a couple of tenths, maybe. Comes up to the last corner. We've got a spinner in Sector 1. One of the Haas cars, I think, has spun. A lot of inside curb there for Tiger, but gets away with it. And it's a 29.6. Wow, a really good lap from Tiger. And he's on pole by 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, that's a brilliant lap. Slipstream definitely helped on that lap. But still, it's a really, really good lap.
Yeah, really good lap from the Red Bull driver, vastly clear of anyone else. Let's see if anyone can actually get close to that time. But at the moment, no one seems to be troubling that. Packer's still the only person that hasn't set a lap time yet. I think he's invalidated another run on the soft, so it does look like he maybe isn't running. He doesn't want to run the soft tyres for the early stint of this race. But pretty much everyone in the field at the moment, apart from Tiggerby, Caesar, and Matt, have all committed to the soft tyre.
I expect Matt maybe to go on soft tires. P9 on the medium tires I don't think that's good enough. I think he might want to grab pole somewhat close to the front of the field.
Yeah, track position can be key around here, and obviously if he starts on the medium tyres in P9, he's not going to be able to get to the likes of Paul and Tiger at the front of the field, who will be able to gap him quite a bit and then put a set of fresh hard tyres on and maybe catch back up to him before Matt can then eventually make his pit stop. So yeah, like you say, he might want to get the track position instead. Someone's just improved. I didn't quite see that. Was Storm, actually?
Tiggerby improved to P10.
Tiggerby improved to P10. Yeah, he's on the soft tyres, and Storm also did the same thing in the McLaren, I believe. I missed Storm actually setting a good time, but Storm has gone into P6. He did his first lap on the medium tyres, but he's now committed to the softs as well. So he's up into P6 and he splits the Ferraris. Kind of in a bit of a lull at the moment. This is probably the quietest spin on track so far. We haven't really got anyone out on the track at the moment on a lap. Tiger's just coming to the pit lane. I think Brandon might be on a lap by the looks of things. He is pushing. Struggling at the moment on a 33.8. Here he comes then into the hairpin. Brakes just before the 100 metre board. Is a little bit deep on the brake, so he's going to completely miss the exit of the corner, unfortunately. Is he going to continue on? Is he going to come into the pit lane? He's going to continue on and set this lap time. It hasn't been invalidated, but it is a bit messy at the end of the lap for Brandon. And he doesn't improve on his time, and that's his third lap on the soft tyres as well.
Yeah, he might want to come into the pits instead and or grab a new tire set, and maybe go a little bit faster, because it seems like these tires are overheating.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's also looks like the problem maybe for Tiggerby as well. Tiggerby's on his second lap now on the soft tyres, and he's in 10th at the moment, so he will have to start the race on that set of tyres, and he obviously does not want to do that with how quickly they burn off. We've got Packer out on the track. He's now on the medium tyre, so this looks like this is going to be his proper quali run now. Let's see what he can do. Can he get anywhere near the top 10 on a set of medium tyres? It's going to be a big ask, but let's see what he can do. A lot of understeer in the last corner. Actually invalidates there, so he's invalidated his run before it even got going. Yeah, that's a shame for Packer, but
as MMA Slash and Fusilium are also out on medium tires. They're committing to the medium hard side, yeah, I think.
It looks like that, yeah. And Fusilium at the moment on a 31.9 on the softs. I wonder whether that was deliberately uncompetitive, maybe, to just have a banker lap time in that he can improve on mediums. Because Fusilium, I know Fusilium from a couple of other races that we raced in. He has got a lot of decent pace in the car, so maybe that was a deliberately slow lap time so that he can at least have a banker on the board. But he's going to start now a lap time on the mediums in the Haas car as well. He's going to be the next person to cross the line, actually, so we'll stay on board with him.
As Brandon crashes into the pit wall.
Oh.
Interesting. Oh.
We should get away with it because there is no damage. We're staying on board with Fusilium. He starts his lap then. Here he comes then into the first sector, into turn 1. Keeps it relatively flat going into the corner. Shifting down the gears nicely. Down into second gear. Let's see what he can do at the end of the first sector. Relative to Matt did a 24 flat in the first sector on his set of medium tyres. Can Fuse get any closer to that? Comes up to the end of the first sector. It's a 24.1. He's about a tenth and a half off Matt's best first sector and a 2.5 tenths off his personal best first sector. Through the middle part of the lap now. Oh, a lot of understeer there through the long right-hander. Keeping it in 5th though, he doesn't want to shift down into 4th, maybe take a tighter line. He kept it in 5th gear. Comes to the end of the second sector now. And he's quite a bit down now actually. He's 8 tenths down on his personal best at this point in the lap, and he's about 6 tenths down on Matt's time, so this time isn't going to get him at the moment anywhere close to the top 10, unfortunately. He comes down the back straight. Unfortunately, it does look like that the medium tyres just don't have the pace for him to get into the top 10. Can he at least beat his personal best time and go ahead of Slash? Oh, a lock up into the hairpin. A lot of people struggling to get the car stopped into the hairpin today. Fuse one of them again as he comes into the last corner. Shifting down into 4th. Keeps it nice and neat. Doesn't attack the inside curve like other people are doing. And it's only a 31.8 in the end.
Yeah, that's not going to put them inside the top 10. As I think Matt's gone out on the soft tyres.
He has, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, a little bit of a mistake there in the double left-hander. See his time 7.5 tenths up already on his time at the end of the second sector. This is at least definitely challenging for the front row. Can he beat Tiger? Ashwin unfortunately has left the session. Hopefully he can join back. Here comes Matt down the back straight then. We have to see if anyone else is on a good lap or not. I believe Callum was about 3 tenths up on his personal best in the other Williams, just behind Matt. We've got the 2 Red Bulls giving each other slipstreams. So I think Panther's actually going to come up to the line and finish his lap time. Does he improve? He does. He goes P2. A 29.8. It's an all Red Bull front row at the moment, but is Matt about to spoil that party? Here he comes into the last corner. Here he comes up to the line. It's a 1 minute 29.7. He does. He goes into P2. Having a look further down, Callum now jumps up into P5 in the other Williams in a 30.1, a much more competitive time from Callum. Packer in the end couldn't set a lap time on those medium tyres, and he stayed in 17th place, unfortunately. We've got Paul on a lap time. Let's see if he can improve. I think Tiger's also on a lap time as well. The other McLaren has come into the pit lane. That's Storm. He's not going to improve on P8 for the time being. We've got one of the Ferraris coming around the last corner. And it's a 30 flat.
He has improved.
Yeah.
Nice lap.
Good lap from Bree, yeah. We've got one of the Alpha Tauris, I believe, coming up to the line. That'll be Slash. Slash is on his on the set of mediums, actually. Let's see what he can do on the mediums. It's a 31.1. Stays P13. But a good lap on the mediums. Robert, meanwhile, behind him goes P9 in the other racing point. Tiggerby's just crossed the line in 11th. He couldn't improve on 11th place. Dan's gone into P5 now ahead of his Ferrari teammate. Here comes Paul to the line. Paul jumps ahead of Panther and goes into P3. So I think the only person really left that can improve is Tiger, and Tiger's already on pole position. No one looks like he's going to trouble him. And he's coming into the pit lane. So Tiger isn't going to complete that lap. So that's the end of qualifying, and it looks like...
I think Caesar's still on a lap, I'm not sure
he
though.
is. He is on the soft tyres, yeah. Bit premature for me there, but Caesar coming around the last corner. Wasn't competitive enough on the mediums. How competitive is he on the soft tyres? He's derating before the line. It's only a 31 flat, and he goes P13. So that is the end of qualifying, and everyone inside the top 10 is committed to going on the soft tyres for the start of this race. Matt just went across the line on his second lap on the soft tyres, actually. So already it looks like Matt and Callum, both Williams drivers, look like they're already at a disadvantage with older tyres. But that's the end of qualifying. That's not really the result I expected. I don't think that was the result we really expected from that qualifying.
Yeah, I didn't expect the Red Bulls to pull out Slipstream, actually. But yeah, that was a good qualifying from Tiger, who puts it on pole. Matt, of course, in second place. Paulus, on the driver we actually don't really know, puts it in P3, and same for Big Panther, actually put it in P4. Good laps from both of them. We have Excelling in P5, along with his teammate Excel Bree. Callum in P7, I'm sorry, P8. Robert Sum in P9, TG Storm P10, Tiggerby in P11. I can't actually see Alpha Tauri's name, so I don't know who that is.
That's Ashvin in P12.
Ashvin, okay. And then I think he left the session, right? I'm not sure.
He did. I think he's joined back. I think he's made his way back into the lobby, thankfully.
And we have Caesar in P13, MMA Slash in P14, Fusilium in P15, Brandon in P16, Packer, who didn't set a lap time, in P17, and Stephen Roebuck, who joined midway through quali, I think, also didn't set a lap time.
Yeah, unfortunately he couldn't set a lap time in the end, could Stephen. That's a shame. But that's the end of qualifying. Like you said, you've gone through the order. But yeah, Matt definitely at the front of the grid, but a great lap from Tiger, and definitely with help from in the slipstream from his teammate Panther, has put Tiger on the front of the grid. I'll just run you through the order again. So it's Tiger on pole ahead of Matt, Paul, Panther in 4th, Dan is in 5th ahead of Breeze 6th, Callum 7th, Eduk in 8th, Robert 9th, and Storm 10th. First person outside the top 10 will be Tiggerby. Then it's Ashvin, Caesar, Slash, Fusilium, Brandon, Packer, and Stephen will round out the field. 18 drivers that will be taking part in the race. And yeah, like we said, that's a pretty a bit of a mixed up grid, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. But although it is actually quite close, top 8, top 7, I mean, within 5/10s. For usually in the first few weeks of the game, that's actually pretty decent.
Yeah, it's just under 7/10 for the top 10. So, like you say, a very close field. But a number of people in that qualifying session not really performing. Obviously, Packer couldn't set a competitive lap time. Caesar outside the top 10 as well. It's a bit of a shock for Caesar.
Yeah, of course, last season's D1 driver. I didn't expect him to be this far down the field in qualifying. So let's hope that he has a good race, and or at least good race pace, and yeah, hopefully he redeems himself.
Yeah, maybe. We'll come into this race then, so we'll wait and see what the strategies are from people, but coming into this race, just based on pure pace alone, who do you think is going to take the podium places?
To be honest, what I've seen so far is that both Rebels are extremely quick in qualifying. I of course have no idea how they are in the race, and anyone actually in this lobby. But if I just randomly choose them, I think Matt's gonna win. I think Paulus has a good shot on for second place, and I'm gonna go with Tiger in third.
Brilliant. I'd probably actually honestly agree with you on that one. I think just based on the pace we've seen, we know Tiger's a good qualifier, but his race pace is not usually quite up to the same level. So we'll have to wait and see what he can do, whether that's improved on in this game. Just having a look at the strategies, everyone outside the top 10 has gone for something a little bit different apart from Steven. So Tiggerby and Ashvin in 11th and 12th have gone for the mediums. Caesar's on the hard tyres in 13th, Slash in 14th on the mediums, hard tyres for Fusilium in 15th, Brandon is on the mediums in 16th, Packer in 17th on the hards, and Stephen in 18th is on the soft tyres. So a real mix of strategies outside the top 10.
Yeah, definitely. The strategy for this track is soft hard, although the medium hard is, in theory, quite a bit faster than soft hard because the soft tires do overheat quite quickly. At least for me, they do. And yeah, the pace drop off is insane. However, the hard tires feel like they can last the entire race.
Yeah, that is definitely the case. It's really going to be all about the keys to this race is how quickly Tiggerby can make his way past the soft runners at the start, and how much of a gap the likes of Tiger and Matt can pull out to the medium and the hard runners before they make their pit stop. So that's going to be really key to their races because, like you say, the soft tyres can die, and medium tyres are genuinely faster around this track than the soft tyres after about lap 3. So you're going to have to take the soft tyres to about lap 6 to really make the hard tyres last towards the end of the race and without hitting that cliff. And the medium tyres you can definitely take to easily the midpoint of the race without really noticing a lot of tyre drop off. So that's going to be the key points to this race. Tiger really stretching out ahead of Matt before the actually lining up for the grid. Tiger's gone for a very fast formation lap, and Matt's backing the rest of the field up. He doesn't want to wait at all on the line. But yeah, that is the keys to this race. Ones to look out for as well in this race. Who do you think is going to come through the field with? Who do you think at the back of the field is going to make their way forward pretty well?
I expect either MMA Splash or Fusalim to do quite well in this race, to be honest. Because they did set quite competitive medium lap times. Although they couldn't set a soft lap time, they're still P14 and P15. And, I mean, in the end, now it's all in the race. That's where it matters, and I think they'll perform.
Brilliant. Just waiting for Packer and Stephen then to line up at the back of the grid before we get the first pre-season race of LOE underway. Here we go then. Unfortunately, Ashwin's car is apparently leading the lobby away, unfortunately, so there's a little bit of a timing glitch there. Here come the 5 lights, though, ahead of the drivers. Long hold, and they're out. And off they go. It's a very even start at the front of the field. Neither Tiger or Paul's actually got an amazing start from third on the grid. He's already side by side with Matt into turn 1. He goes sweeping around the outside. Brilliant start from the Red Bull man. Matt kind of caught lapping at the start of this race. But Tiger's got a clean bit of... He's got a clean gap out front. Paul in second. Still side by side with Matt coming 3. Matt's going to have to slide in behind, though. He's not going to be able to make that move stick on the Renault man. He looks to the inside, does he, for the hairpin? He does. Is he going to get the move stuck? He goes down the inside, but he's very, very slow on the exit of the corner. But Paul can't get the exit coming out of it. And Matt's back up into P2. Panther stays in P4 for the time being, ahead of Dan, ahead of Bree. Eduk in 8th, ahead of Callum. And then Storm rounds off the top 10 at the moment. Actually in 9th, unfortunately, I believe Ashwin has lagged out the session. Robertson's had a terrible start in the Racing Point. He's dropped to the back of the field. Ashwin's been disqualified from the session, unfortunately. Not quite sure what that one's for. But coming to the end of the second sector, Tiger already a second ahead of Matt after that start. He's had a brilliant start. Meanwhile, in behind, Caesar from 13th on the grid on the hard tyres up to 10th. He's had an amazing start in the Alfa Romeo. He's ahead of all the medium runners. Tiggerby's fallen behind. He's not the leader. Oh, we've got Paul off the road on the exit of onto the straight. We've got both McLarens. Both McLarens have spun. One of the Alpha Tauris has gone round as well. Slash, I believe, has got a time penalty for that contact with Storm. Packer also spun as well. A number of people spinning then on the exit of the long right-hander coming onto the straight. That's about 4 people that have come unstuck there. Paul from 3rd place in this race has fallen right to the back of the field. Both McLaren struggling as well. That's taken a lot of people out of the action. Tiger crosses the line in the lead, 1.3 seconds out in front. Brilliant start from Tiger. Got a little bit of a timing glitch on our end. That should hopefully fix itself pretty soon, but it's Tiger that leads ahead of Matt in 2nd. Panther up to 3rd in the other Red Bull. 4th place is Excel Dan, I believe, ahead of Bree in 5th. Callum is in 6th place, I believe. We'll have to wait and see until all the timing screens have sorted themselves out. But after that first lap, a little bit of a chaotic start, but what a brilliant start from Tiger.
Yeah, Tiger with a brilliant start, of course. 1.4 seconds ahead of Matt. Tiger, actually the entire top 8 actually need to push quite hard these few laps just to create a gap to the medium or hard tire runners behind.
Yeah, it does look like that. It does look like Matt's coming back at Tiger ever so slightly. The timing seems to have sorted itself out again, so thank God we're back to normal by the looks of things. But Matt's starting to come back at Tiger on this second. Back within DRS range. Obviously, DRS is not available until the next lap. We'll have to wait and see as they come around. We've got another yellow flag. One of the Alfa Romeos has spun. That's Stephen Roebuck. Yeah, he spun from, I believe, is in P14 at the time, so he spun out of that position and has fallen behind Packer. A number of the soft runners struggling very early on. We've got 4 of the soft runners at the back of the field. having a look further down.
Tires are not the fastest race tire.
Definitely looks that way.
Quite quickly and overheat as well.
Yeah, we've got Tiggerby. It says that he's only a 10th behind Callum, but that definitely is not the case. Tiggerby, though, he's got back ahead of Caesar, so Tiggerby's up to 8th place from 11th on the grid. This is working out really well so far for Tiggerby and for Caesar as well. And for Brandon in P10, he's avoided all the carnage in front of him and has made his way through into the top 10 from the back of the field. Matt sets the fastest lap of the race, and DRS is now enabled. So can Matt get within 1 second of Tiger and close back in on the Red Bull man? He's bringing Panther with him as well. And the two Ferraris are starting to get dropped a little bit now, especially Brie, who's coming under all sorts of pressure from Eduk. To see if Eduk can get the move down into the hairpin. He doesn't look like he's going to be close enough. Looking at ERS issues as well, that's another thing to take into account in this race, is that obviously we've got the new overtake button system. It's a lot more difficult to manage ERS throughout an entire race. That's going to be one thing to look out for. Callum with a big wobble in the background there coming out of the hairpin. Tiggerby's getting closer, so is Caesar as well. They're both starting to close in on Callum ever so slightly. Having a look further up the field, who's struggling with DRS at the front of the field. It looks like Tiger and Matt are very similar. Matt is just going to be within DRS range possibly. It's about 1 second. A little bit of a lock-up from Tiger in the lead as they come across the DRS detection point. I think Matt was just outside of it, so it doesn't look like Matt's got DRS down the back straight.
Let's see if he actually does get it. No, he doesn't. That's
he
crucial.
Doesn't, no?
He has to use his overtake now to keep up with Tiger.
Doesn't look like Tiger's using a lot more overtake down the back straight, but still Matt was closing in. So maybe Matt's got a faster car in a straight line.
Tiggerby and Callum are battling on the straight.
Oh yeah.
Tiggerby.
And here comes Caesar as well, making it 3 wide. Is Caesar going to get the pair of them down into the hairpin? Tiggerby clears and leaves space for the Alfa Romeo on the inside, but Callum really struggling massively struggling for grip on the exit of the hairpin. His tyres are completely gone already. Probably going to see Callum into the pits. No, he's staying out for another lap. He's continuing on, but he's been absolutely mugged there by Tiggerby and Caesar down into the hairpin. Meanwhile, in the background, the other McLaren, I believe Brandon's gone off the road as Slash, Fuselim and Robert have all gone past Brandon. And Packer's next in line to get past the Mercedes man.
Yeah, Matt is closing up to Tiger. Only 7/10 away now.
Yeah, and Eduk's now kind of stuck as well behind Brie. Brie's fallen 2.5 seconds behind his teammate. He's not got the same pace as the top 4 at the moment. We've got yellow flag in sector 1. Not quite sure what that's for. I think maybe that might have been Stephen Roebuck that maybe had a moment, but it was a very brief moment by the looks of things. But yeah, Brie becoming detached from his Ferrari teammate, and Eduk is definitely being held up at this point.
Taking a look at the ERS usage from the top guys, it seems that Tiger is using a lot more of his ERS than Matthias is. As well as Axel Ling is also using quite a lot on the straights.
He really is. He's already down into the 30%. He's really using a lot of his ERS to try and keep up with the top 3. Matt's a lot closer this time round. It's only 4/10 into the hairpin, but Matt's still not close enough to make a move just yet. We're on lap 4. Expect to see some of the soft runners coming in around about now. Got a yellow flag in sector 3. Another one of the McLarens is off the road. That's Packer, I think. Packer and Brandon, I think, might have made a little bit of contact on the exit coming onto the straight. We've got Panther into the pit.
Actually out of ERS.
Oh, wow, okay. So Packer already out of ERS, and we're only on lap 4. We've got Callum and Panther into the pit lane then. So Panther's the first of the top 4 to make his move and come into the pit lane and put a set of the hard tyres on. See where he comes out relative to traffic. He's going to be, I think, right in the middle of this battle that's happening down at the back of the field between Paul, Storm and Stephen. It's going to be just behind it, actually. It just could be quite costly for Panther. He's going to come out in a bit of traffic. He's got a little bit of a gap that he can maybe drive into for the first 2 laps of this stint, but he's going to come up to all sorts of traffic very quickly. We're actually side by side in front of him, Storm and Paul. 2 people that really should be at the front of the field having terrible starts. They're side by side battling for 13th place. Paul looks like he's just going to hold on, but Storm using his ERS down into the hairpin. Still on the inside, but Paul shuts the door on him. And look at that. Panther's already caught the pair of them, so he's going to get massively held up. Oh, as Paul's round, I think that was just on traction, I think. I didn't think he made any contact with Storm, I don't think, but the Renault man's really struggling in the race for any sorts of grip.
And as Panther gets past Storm as well.
Yeah, as Matt's really wide as well, coming onto the straight. He completely understeered off the track. He was about 4/10 behind Tiger, and he just completely understeered off, so clearly struggling with the front tyres on that car, and struggling a little bit with the dirty air as well. We can't get close enough to make a move on Tiger, who's actually managing his tyres pretty well at this point, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see both of these guys in at the end of this lap. Do any of them stay out? I think they're both in. Yeah, they're both in at the same time. Does Excelling come in as well? No. Excelling stays out. So we've got a new leader, and that is Excelling. He takes the lead in the Ferrari. Eduk also stays out as well. He's passed Breeze somewhere in the lap, and Breeze now into the pit lane as well. So we've got two people trying to extend the softs as far as possible. Got another yellow flag in Sector 3. That's Pauly's round again, just before the back straight. He's really struggling for tyres. I wonder if he may have a puncture at this point. But
damages off, so punctures won't be an issue this race.
Yeah, punctures won't be an issue, but he's clearly struggling for any sorts of grip, and he's spun once again, actually, so his tyres must be massively overheating at this point, and he can kind of count himself out of this race, unfortunately. Looking further down the field, there's a massive queue forming behind Packer now with all the people that have come out of the pit lane. So Tiger's come out of the pit lane about a second behind Packer and only just in front of Matt, who's on the medium. So Matt's clearly going for a two-stop in this race. He's going right down the inside of Tiger at the hairpin. Can he get that one stopped? Just about, but Tiger's there on the exit of the corner. Oh, there's a little bit of contact between the pair of them. They just get away with it. But Matt's going to hold the line through the long left-hander, sorry, and he does. So Matt's now into the net race lead, but on the medium tyres, Matt is clearly going for a two-stop. Having a look in Sector 2. Oh, Fuselim spun and has reset to track, unfortunately. So that's that's a lot of places lost for the Hassman. He's going to fall behind Panther as well, who's actually right on the back of these guys. And Packer's really holding Matt up at this point. But yeah, a two-stop strategy for Matt. He seems to be the only one going for it.
Yeah, I didn't expect to see two-stop this race, actually.
Yeah, it's usually about 10 seconds slower usually at a two-stop. So Matt's counting on him having a lot of pace on these mediums. He's going past Packer, who isn't defending down into the hairpin. I think Tiggerby also passed Eduk down into the hairpin as well.
Tiger goes for a dive on Packer.
That was a very late move from Tiger, and I don't really think that was on. He was quite far back, and Packer was already side by side with Matt, so Packer holds on to the pace for the time being. Oh, when Tiger runs incredibly wide in the last corner, and picks up a 3-second time penalty for it as well. Yeah, here comes Tiger now back down the inside into turn 1, and Packer not defending it. Tiger's through, but can he keep up?
A little bit wide though.
Packer back down the inside.
No, he doesn't have the grip.
No, doesn't quite have the grip of the medium runners in front of the hard runner in front. But the key to this race now is how much can Matt pull away from Tiger. He's going to have to massively gap him in this portion of the race to make that two-stroke strategy work. Because Panther's on the grass on the outside there, coming into the hairpin, trying to go around the outside of Packer. He's had a bad traction coming out the corner as well. He just about hangs on to it, but Packer holds on to 6th for the time being. Just looking a bit further down the field then, so Edu K has actually come out in 12th. He's about 3 seconds ahead of Callum, so he's well ahead of the Williams man. He's only a second behind Bree. Dan's come out kind of on his own at the moment. Got yellow flag in Sector 1. Not quite sure what that one's for. Having a look further up the field as well. So now it's Tiggerby and Caesar.
Brandon and Bree side by side.
Ooh.
Brandon brings very late. Gets in front of Bree, but Bree tries to go around the outside. Not enough room there.
Yeah, not quite going to work.
For it on the straight. I think he'll get the move done on the straight.
And this has massively helped Eduk as well, who's closed. Oh my word. Not sure if he lost traction there or if he tried to defend, but that was almost contact, and Eduk's going to make his way through as well. Can he get the pair of them? Does the racing point? He goes to the outside. He's very late on the brakes. Is he going to go all the way around the outside of the Ferrari man? This would be great if he can pull it off. He's on the curb though. He's actually ahead coming into the last corner. Can he pull it off? Into the last corner he goes. He does. Brilliant move from Eduk, and he's made 2 places in 1 corner.
Yeah, very nice move from Eduk.
But Bree's got the DRS down the pit straight. Can he come back at the racing point? He's going to look to the inside. He's not quite confident enough to look to the inside, but Eduk's run really wide. He's understeered off the track. Yeah, hits the grass, and Bree's back through into P10. Just looking further up the field then. So at the moment, Packer holding onto the back of Panther for P6. Having a look further up as well. So the top 3 all haven't made their stops yet. It's Tiggerby leading from Caesar and MMA Slash. There's a 7-second gap back to Matt, who at this point in the race isn't building a big enough gap to Tiger to make this two-stop strategy work. At this point, he's pretty much on the same strategy as the 3 people in front of him, and he's going to have to gain masses of time on the guys in front.
Yeah, very weird to go for the two-stop strategy in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely an odd choice of strategy, considering that it is around, like I said, around 10 seconds slower to do a regular two-stop strategy. Considering that Matt's been kind of held in traffic a little bit as well and was stuck behind Tiger at the start of the race, this isn't really the best strategy for him. Paul sets the fastest lap of the race on a set of medium tyres, but he's unfortunately right at the back of the field. But yeah, Tiggerby and Caesar 1-2. Caesar doing a really good job on those hard tyres. Only 2.5 seconds off the back of Tiggerby. Caesar's going to be one to look out for at the end of this race. He's got brilliant pace on those hard tyres.
Yeah, he might go on the softs or on the medium tyres, and he'll be quite rapid, I imagine, on those tyres.
Yeah, I imagine he'll probably want to go for maybe a safer bet and go for the mediums, because while the softs may be initially maybe 2 seconds a lap faster, they will die very quickly. So it probably is a safer bet to go for the mediums, so he could easily re-catch Tiggerby and pass him before the end of this race. Having a look further in behind, Tiger's only really lost about 0.6 of a second to Matt, so Tiger's got brilliant pace on these hard tyres as well, and he's not letting Matt get away, and they're dropping Panther quite quickly actually. Having a look further down the field, Brie is still ahead of Educk, so Educk hasn't made his way back through on the Ferrari man. That's kind of been the status quo for this race between these two. Educk's kind of been stuck behind Brie.
Yeah, of course. But Educk performed the move around the outside on the hairpin, not making a mistake though into turn 1 on the very next lap. Making sure that Brie actually gets the position in the end, or keeps the position maybe. And now he's trying to take the move again.
Does it look that way? Absolutely. Matt is definitely closing in on Slash. I think it's about a second a lap faster at the moment, but it's still not quite enough at this point in the race. Tiger's only around half a second, maybe 0.6 a lap slower than Matt. So he himself is in fact catching the top 3 at this point as well as Tiger. So it's just not enough for Matt at this point to make this two-slot strategy work.
Yeah, it's a difficult strategy to pull off. You have to have incredible pace on these medium tires. And Tiger's actually, yeah, he is faster than Tiger, of course, but Tiger is quite fast on those hard tires.
He really is, yeah. Tiger's got some decent pace, and Panther seems to have calmed down a little bit. He was struggling in the early laps on these hards, but he's now starting to match his teammates' times, and he's completely dropped Packer now. So Panther looks like he's got into his rhythm a little bit and is matching his Red Bull teammate. Having a look further up the field, Caesar is now starting to catch Tiggerby, so I wonder whether the medium tyres are already going off.
Trying to go around the outside in turn 1, on the inside of turn 2, really close together, and they make contact.
Oh, a little bit of contact on the traction zone, and Breeze spun into the path of Educk. That's such a shame. Here comes Callum now. Callum's going to make his way past the Racing Point man. Breeze going to get away with it and stay in P10, but that is such a shame. What a shame for those two. That a great battle like that has come off really poorly for both drivers.
Yeah, a little bit of contact and Breeze spun across Educate. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
They're still in the race. They can still show off the pace.
Absolutely. But it is, like you say, it is such a shame, and it's very easy to do in a traction zone. A slight bit of contact in a traction zone, and that could really catch someone out. Callum actually just had a bit of a moment there in a traction zone himself. Gets away with it, but a bit of a slide on the exit of the corner. But Tiggerby's now starting to struggle quite a bit for pace. Tiggerby's about half a second a lap slower than Caesar, and Slash is actually faster than the pair of them, and he's catching him pretty quickly as well. So Tiggerby, I wonder whether he's burned through these medium tyres a bit too quickly, and now the hards of Caesar behind are starting to become the better tyre.
Yeah, I think Caesar's pace is starting to look good, because he's actually, he's catching Tiggerby quite rapidly actually to the first sector.
And it does look like when Caesar does eventually come into the pit lane, I think he's going to come out around. I think he's going to come out in the massive gap at the moment that's formed between the two Ferrari drivers, because obviously Fuselim hasn't made his pit stop yet either. He's going to have to come into the pits at some point. And there's an 8-second gap that's formed between the two Ferraris. I think Packer's spun. Yeah, Packer's spun into the gravel there on the exit of turn 3. He's obviously had a bad moment on traction and he spun the car. He's going to get going again, but that's such a shame for the McLaren man. He's really struggled. Like you said, he doesn't enjoy this track, and that's his second spin of the day. And he's dropping right down to the back of the field, having still not made his pit stop yet. So he's really struggling for traction around this track.
Yeah, it's too bad to see, but fortunately he is still going. And that's basically he's spun again.
Oh, that's such a shame. I think he might have gravel on his tyres as well, and that's causing him to spin quite a bit. He's ended up quite a way off the track actually in the long left-hander, so he must have had a massive snap midway through the corner. Good for him to still keep going, but you can definitely see that he is struggling to keep the car on the road. Meanwhile, further up the field, the gap has kind of started to level out a bit now between Tiggerby and Caesar, so I wonder whether Tiggerby maybe just had a little bit of a poor lap. Matt is catching these guys very quickly. but he still is only 3.7 to Tiger, and he needs at least half a pit stop's gap to Tiger, which is about 12 seconds. It's just not going to happen at this point. Panther matching his teammate and excelling is kind of being dropped. He's in a bit of a race of his own. And yeah, like I said, Tiggerby and Sears are probably going to come out in the gap between the two Ferraris at this point.
Yeah, Robertson and Brandon are battling to the final corner. Oh, that's really deep from Brandon.
Yeah, that's a little bit... that's a little bit... that's a bold move there from Brandon to force the Racing Point off the road. Storm's made his way past as well. That was a bit of a forceful move from Brandon. He probably should give that place up. He did force the Racing Point man off the track. Brandon, I believe, hasn't made his pit stop either. No, he hasn't. So he's obviously clearly struggling for pace. And he's got Storm all over the back of him. Storm gets a little bit cut off there as well. We've got a yellow flag in the middle sector. Is that Matt that spun around?
It is.
It is. Matt spun around. Oh, it couldn't get any worse. It's absolutely fallen apart for Matt. He needed to build that gap, and he's dropped it coming out of the double left-hander. And that's thrown away any chance of maybe a top 5 finish in this race. Meanwhile, Packer's retired in the pit lane, unfortunately. He's not continuing with this race. But yeah, Matt, another spinner in this race.
Yeah, quite a few people spinning this race.
Yeah, it really has been a lot of people spinning. A lot of fast people as well. We've had Paul, we've had Storm, we've had Packer. Matt's now spun. We've had Bree and Eduk come into contact and have a half spin as well. Tiggerby and Slasher into the pit lane at the end of lap 12. So they're coming in to put the medium tyres on. The pit window is now officially open. So let's see where they come out relative to the other residents around. This has taken Matt almost completely out of the equation now. And Slash has got a time penalty, has he? It looks like he might have a time penalty. Yeah, he does. Slash had contact with Storm earlier on in the race, and he got a 5-second time penalty for it, unfortunately. And as I said, Tiggerby's going to come out right in the gap in between the two Ferraris. He's got a great amount of clean air.
Yeah, that's great from Tiggerby. P7 and on those fresh hearts. I imagine he'll make up a couple of positions.
Yeah, definitely. We've still got Caesar and Fuselim in front of him to come into the pits. At the moment, Tiggerby is in a net P5, which is a brilliant result from 11th on the grid. We'll have to see now as well how fast a fresh set of mediums is compared, fresh set of hards is, compared to a set of hards that have done about 6 or 7 laps. Obviously, Matt in front has had a spin and is on medium, so he will be pitting again as well. So actually, Tiggerby's in a net P4 at this point in the race.
Yeah, he's showing brilliant pace. Of course, last season he was up there in D3.
Massive moment. Yeah, he was
up there in D3 before he got disqualified of this for the season. But he's back this race and this season. Yeah, looking to compete at the top. Yeah,
definitely. He's showing really, really good pace. Really good race smarts as well. He's showing really, really, really good. Yeah, race strategy, and he's driving smartly in the race. We have another spinner. Is that Callum that's now spun? Another fast driver struggling on these tyres. Callum has now had a spin. He's actually spun coming back onto the track as well. So both Williams drivers have now spun in this race, and that's Callum now falling back behind Slash and Eduk, and now Robert and Storm have also passed him as well. So another person that spun it coming out onto the back straight. Meanwhile, just having a look at Slash, he obviously came in. He's come out behind Educate. He's going to the inside actually for the first corner. He breezes past the Racing Point, but Slash has absolutely no ERS usage left. He's got about 10%. He's completely burned through his ERS, but he's up into P9 and he's got about a 5-second gap to the car in front.
That might cost him his low ERS. Look, he's using ERS or overtake on almost every single straight, it seems like.
Yeah, it does seem that way.
ERS in order to get past Bree or maybe even Tiggerby. I don't know if he'll catch Tiggerby, but yeah, really needs to save his ERS. Actually, looking at people who have a low ERS, it seems that generally everyone's around the 50% ERS usage, except Bree and Slash, of course.
Yeah.
TGT Storm is on 30%, it's also quite low. Robertson behind him also on 20% ERS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just having a look, actually, Tiggerby's managed his ERS pretty well. Before this straight, he was on about 75% ERS, so he's got quite a lot in his back pocket. He's up behind Fuselim into the hairpin. He doesn't go for the move. Fuselim used a lot of ERS, I think, down the back straight to stay ahead of Tiggerby, but they're not really in the same race at this point. They're a pit stop apart from each other, and Hassman still has to come into the pit lane, so I'm not quite sure why the Haasman would fight this one so much, but Tigby kind of stuck behind the Haas at the moment, and I don't think he's close enough for moving to turn 1. Although he uses a lot of ERS. Goes to the inside. The Haasman holds it around the outside, but Tigby's going to have more grip on the inside, and he's made his way through up into P6. So Tigby up to 6th, and he's only 6.5 seconds behind Matt, who has to make a pit stop, who's actually re-caught excelling by the looks of things. He has. So Matt has re-caught the Ferrari man after his spin. He's still got relatively good life in these medium tyres, considering that he has had a spin and has been pushing. So he's up behind the Ferrari man. Can this cost excelling quite a bit of time, and maybe Tigby can capitalise on it?
Yeah, I think. Oh, big slide from Matt. The double left-hander. But meanwhile, in front, it seems like no one can actually touch Tiger. 4-second gap.
Yeah, Tiger's. This is
insanely fast.
This is very reminiscent of the USA race from last season in D3. Tiger it was the best performance from Tiger last season. He qualified on pole, and no matter what the race threw at him, what strategies threw at him, he was clearly the fastest man on the track, and he just drove away out front no matter what happened in the race. And it's looking the same as well, as Matt's made his way past excelling. I think Selling didn't really fight that one too hard. He knows they're on different strategies, and Matt really struggling with traction coming out of the hairpin. As Caesar's finally into the pit lane then. So the man that started on the hard tyres, he's the only real man that started on the hard tyres that's been able to make this strategy work. So he's going to go
on the medium tyres. Yeah, he is.
He has. So Tigby meanwhile picks up a 3-second time penalty on the exit of the last corner. Where does Caesar come out relative to Brie? He's going to be just behind Brie, I think. Yeah, he is. But he comes out in P7. So that is good. That is a good place for Caesar to be. He could quite easily catch Brie before the back straight and maybe pass him there. It's only 1.3 seconds, so don't count Caesar out of a top 5 finish just yet.
Yeah, definitely. And with Tigby on fresh hearts, I think he has the potential to catch Tigby and pass him before the end of the race.
Definitely, yeah. We got another yellow flag in sector 1. I think that's just for Fuselim coming out of the pit lane by the looks of things. That has come out. He's come out meanwhile in P13, right behind Robertson. There's a bit of a queue forming now behind Storm, which is Callum, Robert, and Fuselim have all formed in a queue behind the behind the McLaren man, sorry. But yeah, just looking through the field, Tigby is not really catching excelling in terms of time. It's kind of hovering around the 6.5 second mark. We've got one of the Alfa Romeos has spun. That's Stephen Roebuck that's spun again by the looks of things. But the key is whether the hard tyres fall off towards the end of the race. Can these hard tyres really do another 12 laps for the people out front?
I think these, yeah, I mean, they pit it quite early on these hard tyres, but with damage off, they'll have no risk of getting a puncture.
Definitely.
Although they'll be quite slow in the last two laps of the race, I think.
Yeah, and it looks like Caesar's, like I said, Caesar's made his way past Brie. He's made his way past into the hairpin, and Matt's come in for his second pit stop. So that's Tigby now up into P4 and Caesar up into P5. And Slash, actually, if you're looking behind, Slash is actually caught. Considering Slash had a 5-second stop-go penalty, he's actually catching Brie very quickly. Only 2 seconds now.
Yeah, that's really close between both drivers.
Yeah, Slash definitely looking much more confident at this point in the race. Having a look at the front of the field though, but like you say, it's kind of died down a little bit. There's not really much going on. The two Red Bulls have definitely been the most consistent in the field. Excelling in third at the moment. It's kind of been in a race on his own. He's not quite had the pace of the two Red Bulls, but he's definitely had decent enough pace to put him in this podium position. But actually, it looks like Excelling's biggest threat at the moment for P3 is going to be Caesar, because Tigby struggled. Oh, Tigby had a bit of a snap there through the double left-hander, and Caesar's actually catching Tigby hand over fist.
That's Matt has spun on fresh mediums.
Oh, another spin. Wow, another front-running man with a spin on the medium tyres. What a shame this is race spin. He's actually fallen behind his teammate now. He's fallen behind Callum and is out of the points, is Matt. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. It's the top 12 that's points. I'm running on real-life Formula 1 points, but he is in the points at the moment. Top 12 obviously get points in LOE, but that was really close for the Haas man, but move's not going to come off there. He's going to wait for the straight. Meanwhile, I think we've just had Paul come out the pit lane, and yeah, Paul's just come out the pit lane in the path of Tiger. Obviously, Paul will be ghosted for the Red Bull man, so that won't be any problems. For Tiger as Caesar sets the fastest lap of the race at 34.2. That's a brilliant lap time. Having a look
Might
further.
even, to be honest, Tiggerby is actually losing time
Yeah.
to excelling.
It does look like Tiggerby just does not have the confidence that he had on the medium tyres on the hards, and we did see that Caesar could quite easily keep up with Tiggerby on the hard tyres, so of the two, Caesar is definitely the faster. It's how quickly Caesar can get up and past Tiggerby. It looks like he's definitely going to have DRS maybe down the back straight. Whether he's close enough to make a move or not is another question, and Tiggerby has about 20% more ERS at this point as well to defend.
Caesar's almost within the DRS set range of Tiggerby ahead. It's really close between them.
Yeah,
I think it's just outside.
Ooh, a big lock up
from Caesar.
Yeah, that's going to cost him. Actually, he's falling out of DRS range because of it. The DRS line is on the exit of the right-hander coming onto the straight, and I think he fell just outside of DRS range because of that lock-up, unfortunately. So he's going to have to wait another lap. But still, Caesar has pretty good pace at this point. But yeah, the top three at the moment looking untroubled.
Yeah, gap steadies.
I can't quite remember what penalties people have. I believe Tiger has a 3-second time penalty. I'm not sure about Panther, but we know from Dan from last season that the day that Dan would get a time penalty would be the day that the sky fell. He was incredibly good at not picking up time penalties, and it looks like it might be the same this season. So I wonder whether Dan is just running around doing his own thing, not picking up warnings, and is going to steal maybe a second place off the Red Bulls in that way.
Yeah, Tiger has one 3-second time penalty. Big Panther actually has no time penalties, and same for Dan.
Yeah.
Tiggerby has one penalty. Caesar in 5th has no penalties as well. Bree has one penalty in 6th. MMA Slash had his 5-second time penalty from off the start of the race, otherwise nothing else. Educate has one penalty in 8th. Callum, no penalties. Fusilium has one penalty. Matt doesn't have a penalty.
Speaking of Fusilium, he's made his way past Matt. He's going down the inside of Callum now for P9. I think he might have got a little boost there from Matt, actually. A little bit of contact between Matt and Fusilium, but Fusilium trying to go around the outside. Is he gonna? He's gonna stick it there. He's gonna stick with it. Oh! Callum has a massive snap in the middle of the corner, and there's contact between the two of them. And the Hassman's ended off the road on one side, and Callum's off the road on the other. And that's let Matt and Storm back through. That's
unfortunate. There was a little bit of
I think Callum
lost a little bit, understeered a little bit into the Haas, and then
it did, yeah.
Had a massive snap.
It did look like that Callum either understeered, like you say, into the side, or maybe got caught on the curb on the inside and just had a snap, and it just snapped into the side of the Haas driver. That's such a shame. That would have been a brilliant move from Fusilium if you pulled that one off, but unfortunately he's not been able to. Caesar, meanwhile, sets another fastest lap of the race, and he's only 2/10. Only 2/10 now, yeah, and Tiggerby's actually taken half a second out of Dan in the last lap. As Tiggerby has a massive snap there on the exit of turn 2, coming down into turn 3. Well held from the Mercedes man, but look at Caesar already trying to get him on the exit of the corner down into the hairpin. Is Tiggerby going to defend to the inside of Years? Can Caesar go all the way around the outside? Whoa, he's so late on the brakes as the Alpha man. He pulled that off even before we got to the corner.
Wow.
That's a brilliant move from Caesar. I don't know whether Caesar's running ABS on or off, but if he's running that off, hats off.
He was running off. He was running it off. I saw him.
He locked up earlier on, didn't he? He locked up earlier on, didn't he? Wow, an amazing move from Caesar. He was so late on the brakes. I was so sure he was going to miss the corner, but wow, brilliant move from the Alpha man. He made that look far too easy. And Caesar's up into 4th place.
And Slash has caught the Ferrari of Bree ahead.
He has, yeah.
And
Only 5/10.
Well in DRS range.
Yeah, good recovery from Slash. Trying to fight his way up into 6th place. Let's see if he can get him down the straight. Let's also have to wait and see if Tiggerby's close enough to come back at Caesar, maybe. It's only 0.3 of a second. He is coming back at him. Caesar all the way to the inside of the track. Tiggerby going to the outside. Is Tiggerby going to try and do the same thing? He's now really late on the brakes into the hairpin. Oh, Caesar forces him on the curb. That's fair enough from Caesar. He had the corner, and Tiggerby can't make the move stick. And I think Slash the same. Slash doesn't have any RS left, so he can't get past Bree in a straight line.
Yeah, Bree as well doesn't. They have exactly the same ERS.
Oh wow, they do, yeah. As Paul sets the fastest lap of 33.6. Slash again in the DRS range into turn 1, but again not close enough. He's going to have to stay in 7th for the time being. Yeah, now that Caesar has officially passed Tiggerby and has kept the place at the end of the lap, let's see how quickly Caesar can catch Dan if he can at all. Dan's starting to catch Panther a little bit. Panther has the oldest of the hard tyres out front, and Dan has the youngest actually, so keep an eye on maybe Dan to catch back up to the Red Bull man towards the end of this race. He's taken steadily about 2 or 3 tenths a lap out of him, but it has come down under 3 seconds, so if any penalty comes in for Panther, then that's Dan already into P2.
Yeah, these tires are really coming alive for Dan, it seems like.
Yes, oh my word, in the background, Tiggerby, a massive moment behind Caesar, well held from Tiggerby, but that's going to cost him DRS range as Paul's round in the background again in the Renault. He's really struggling for traction. But yeah, Tiggerby, a massive moment on the exit of the double left-hander, but he just about holds onto it, but it's fallen out of DRS range to Caesar because of it.
Yeah, and Slash now behind Brie. As Brie gets, and Brie and Slash get a little bit of a slide on the exit of the corner, and I don't think Slash is going to get the move done. But they both don't have any ERS to use.
Yeah, Slash ran out of ERS before he even got to the DRS line. That's how little he's running at the moment. So he's obviously burned through his ERS trying to get to Brie, and then has forgotten about using the ERS to get past. But he's much closer out of the last corner this time round. Surely he's going to have to go for the inside line into turn 1. Brie isn't defending it though. Brie deciding against defending against Slash. And Slash is going to get the move done into turn 1, is he? It looks like he is. Does he hold a tight line? He does. Brie can't get back up the inside. So the AlphaTauri man's back up into 6th place.
Yeah, good move from Slash. Getting past Brie.
And Matt sets a 33.3. A fastest lap of the race for Matt, but Matt down in P9 at the moment after 2 spins and a 2-stop strategy. It's really not gone Matt's way. He's all on his own at the moment. 6.5 seconds clear of the car behind and 12 seconds off the back of Edu K in P8. Having a look further up, Tiggerby has been dropped now by Caesar, but Caesar is not catching. He's not catching Dan at this point in the race. It looks like Tiger, Panther and Dan have made this soft hard strategy work. They've been able to make these hard tyres last long enough, and they were obviously right at the front of the field during qualifying, and it's worked out for them at this point.
Yeah, hats off to them. Driving a brilliant race and a brilliant qualifying, giving a slipstream to each other, and they're dominating the race actually. However, excelling is clutching ever so slightly onto the back of them.
Yeah, like we say, he has the youngest of the hard tyres out the top 3, so look out for him to maybe have a charge at the end of the race. But we've got 5 laps to go in this race, and Tiger has looked almost unassailable out in front. He hasn't had really anyone come close to him. Matt has obviously had a similar pace, but his strategy choice hasn't worked out for him, and Tiger hasn't really looked in doubt of this race win at any point. Looking further down, Caesar is catching. It's only about half a second a lap though, so he isn't going to catch the guys in front by the end of the race. Tiggerby has been completely dropped at this point. It's over 2 seconds back, and Slash is actually starting to catch Tiggerby at this point in the race.
Yeah, amazing recovery from Slash after the 5-second penalty in the pit lane. Yeah, he's showing an incredible pace.
Yeah, he's showing very good pace, and like we said earlier on, Tiggerby's just nowhere near as comfortable on these hard tyres as he was on the mediums. It's just not worked out for him, this strategy. Looking further down the field, meanwhile, while it's calmed down a little bit at the front of the field, like we said, Matt is in 9th with the fastest lap of the race. Storm running around in 10th after a spin early on in the race. He's ahead of Robertson, who also had a spin in the other racing point. Fuselim in 12th after contact with Callum, who's in 13th. I think Callum's pitted again, actually. He has, by the looks of things. Brandon's running P14, ahead of Stephen Roebuck in 15th, and Paul in 16th, who's had, all 3 of them really have had really shocking races. They've really struggled, especially with traction. They've spun quite a few times, and it's put them down in 14th, 15th, 16th. The only 2 retirements so far are Packer, who retired after a couple of spins early on in the race, and Ashvin, who got disqualified from the session before the race really begun.
Yeah, we would have loved to see Packer actually finish the race, just to have a look at his actual pace. That's the main reason why we're doing these pre-season races, just to have a look at everyone's pace and trying to
we've had
Fusilima spun.
Yeah, Fusilim's made another error. He's spun in 12th place. He's quite a gap ahead of Callum, so he's kept the place for the time being. But yeah, that's going to put him under pressure from losing the final point to Callum now, who's on a fresh set of medium tyres. Matt picks up a 3-second time penalty now. He's run wide, I believe, at the last corner, and that's where he's picked that up. But yeah, Fusilim another spin in this race. We need to make a tally of how many spins we've had. I can't keep track of how many times people have spun in this race.
Yeah, of course. China is a very difficult track to master.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously with the lack of any damage and safety cars being far less common because of it, a lot of people haven't been able to recover from those spins. It's really only the top 6 that haven't really had a moment in this race. Just having a look as well. Caesar again still not really catching the top 3. It's kind of leveled out now as well between Panther and Excelling. It's kind of leveled out between the two of them. The one to look out for at the moment though is Slash ever so slightly catching Tiggerby before the end. That's probably going to be the main battle in this race. It's down to 2.6. Yeah, looking further up the field as well. Storm now picks up a time penalty in P10. That's not really going to affect his race unless Robert behind doesn't have a time penalty, but I believe he might have one. Having a look further up, we'll go on board with Excelling. Stay on board with him, see how close he can get to Panther. It's hovering around the 2.5 second mark at the moment. It's coming under that a little bit, but hats off to Panther though. Panther's at the moment on his 19th lap on these hard tyres, I think. Actually, it must be older than that. I think he pitted lap 4 maybe on these tyres, so he might be on his 20th lap now. And he's done a brilliant job to keep the tyre life in these tyres.
Yeah, hasn't lost that much time to Tiger or Excel Dan, and yeah, managing these tyres actually quite well.
Yeah. Storm meanwhile's coming to the pit lane. He's coming to put probably a set of soft tyres on and maybe go for the fastest lap. He's definitely got a big enough gap back to Fusilium in 12th to pull that one off. Slash is gaining mainly in the middle sector. It's about half a second in the middle sector of the lap, but Slash isn't really able to gain anywhere else. He's still running with very little ERS. Paul meanwhile has retired from the race in the pit lane. Yeah, Tiggerby running 50% ERS and only about 20 there for Slash coming out of the corner. But Slash has got it under 2 seconds now, so he is catching. It's going to be probably the last lap where Slash is going to get within DRS range, but that's about it. I think we've had Matt spin again. Yeah, Matt's had another spin in this race. And he's actually retired from the session on track, unfortunately. Giving up the ghost for that one is Matt. He's retired on track from P9 after his 3rd spin of the race. But what a shame for Matt. We came into this... I think we might have cursed Matt before this race started. Yeah. Came into this one saying that he was going to win this race, and it really hasn't gone his way.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. 3 spins, yeah.
Yeah, 3 spins in a 2-stop strategy.
Fortunately for him, we won't be driving this track in the actual season. So,
and that is probably...
So yeah,
that's the case for a lot of people. Over half the field have struggled really with traction and spinning in this race. The one thing to remember for them is that this race won't be on the actual calendar. Neither will France, which is next week's pre-season race. That will also not be on the calendar. Great Britain will be. That will be on the calendar, and that's the 3rd pre-season race. But yeah, this track not on the full calendar. So those people that really do not like this track, like you said, Packer doesn't like this track at all. We know that going into the season, this track won't be on the calendar, so that's something they won't really have to worry about. Just having a look at the top 2, I'm not quite sure maybe if Panther's reached the cliff of these tyres, but Tiger has pulled about half a second on his teammate in the last lap.
Yeah, however, Dan is not really gaining that much on him.
I feel for Dan. He's had a pretty boring race at this point, hasn't he? He's kind of been on his own the entire race. I think this is really, apart from the first obviously few laps of this race, this is the closest that Dan's really been to anyone around him. He must be frustrated that he can't get any closer to the Red Bull man in front. I also see as well that Panther is low on fuel by the looks of things. He's obviously run a lot more fuel than people around him. He's got a fuel warning light on, which Tiger doesn't have. So Tiger's still got some fuel in reserve if he wants to set a fast lap. The gap's now up to 6 seconds actually. So Tiger's putting in some decent pace, especially in the first sector. That seems to be where he's gaining most of his time.
Yeah, fresh tyres into the first sector or fresher tyres, sorry, is obviously way better in the first sector than any other sector around this track. You really need the grip to manage those long swooping corners.
Absolutely, yeah. Looking in further behind, Caesar still 5.2 seconds back. This alternate strategy, while it's gained them a few places, obviously Caesar 4th from, I believe, what was it, 13th on the grid that Caesar started? That's still a brilliant result from Caesar, but he just hasn't got the pace on these medium tyres to close in on the guys in front. Meanwhile, Slash is just within DRS range now of Tiggerby, coming up to the DRS detection point. Has he managed to save any ERS? He has not, but Tickerby has managed to burn through some of his. So Tickerby doesn't have as much ERS as he did to defend anymore. And is Slash within DRS range? It looks like he is. We'll have to wait and see when he comes out of the corner if he's close enough. He's into overtake and he's already using up his overtake usage. But yeah, he's in DRS range. So with a lap to go, Slash is close enough now to maybe take P5 off of his fellow alternate strategy driver Tickerby.
Yeah, of course, these two were very close to get in the first stint. And Slash, of course, getting the 5-second time penalty in the pit lane.
We've had another spin, meanwhile. By the way, just sorry to interrupt, Fusilian has had another spin, his third spin on these tyres, unfortunately. His tyres must be absolutely cooked at this point.
Yeah, and on to the last lap of the race now, Tiger.
Yeah. 7 seconds out in front. He's had brilliant last few laps. Panther's starting to struggle now. Excelling is only 1.5 back. I think Panther's reached the end of the tyre life for these hard tyres, and is struggling on fuel as well, so Excelling with 2 lap fresher tyres might be able to mount a challenge if there's any sort of mistake from Panther, but Panther looks safe for the time being. Meanwhile, Slash is only 4 tenths back now from Tickerby, so he's definitely close enough to make a move on the final lap. Have to wait and see now as Tiger comes onto the back straight for the final time. Is Slash going to be close enough? Tickerby has a bit of a wobble. Slash is definitely close enough, but he runs very wide. Gets away with it by the looks of things. Slash looks to the inside, but this not the best overtaking opportunity. Comes down onto the back straight. He's almost pushing Tickerby now through the last few corners of this lap, and is he going to be close enough? Tickerby puts it into overtake very early on in the corner. He's got more overtake than Slash, so he's able to defend relatively easy. Meanwhile, we'll go on board with Tiger coming around the last corner. A brilliant, dominant race from Tiger in the end. He clearly is the fastest man in the field. He wins the race in the Red Bull. He's going to be ahead of his Red Bull teammate Panther, who only finishes about 6 tenths of a second ahead of Excelling at the end of this race. Meanwhile, further back, Caesar finishes in P4. Tickerby managed to hold on to P5 in the end. Slash wasn't close enough. Oh, a big snap in the final corner there for Tickerby. Tickerby holds on to P5 but drops it because of time penalties. So Slash takes P5 in the end ahead of Tickerby. Brie will cross the line in P7. 2 very lonely races for the Ferrari mans. Edak, after a contact with Brie early on in the race, is going to cross the line in 8th place ahead of his Racing Point teammate Robertson, who's going to come home in P9.
Yeah, hats off to Tiger for amazing win. Very dominant. And I think if Excelling had one more lap, he might have been able to pass the Big Panther. But yeah, good race from the podium drivers.
Robertson then around the last corner. He finishes the race in P9. Storm will be next to cross the line. He's on the soft tyres, but he hasn't set the fastest lap of the race, I don't think. But he comes down the last corner, absolutely flies it around the last corner. Crosses the line, he's going to take P10. Callum will cross the line in P11. He actually takes P10 on penalties. Fusilian will be the last man to cross the line. He's the last man in the points as well. A bit of a torrid race for the Haasman, but he still comes away with it with a point. And there you go, that's the end of the first preseason race for Lobby 1.
Yeah, we would like to thank everyone for joining in the race, and actually everyone who finished the race. Thank you so much. The organizers will probably thank you quite some more in the Discord chat, but yeah, we'd love to see your pace, and yeah, good job everyone.
Yeah, and also good luck to the organisers for reordering the lobbies for next week. Wouldn't want to be in your shoes at this point, but yeah, brilliant races in the end. It was Slash who got driver of the day, so it looks like he gained the most places out of anyone. But here's the final running order, everyone. Then Tiger wins from pole position, a really dominant win, like Dylan said. Brilliant stuff from Tiger. He had a Big Panther in the other Red Bull win second. Excelling in third, good race from him as well. Caesar in fourth on the alternate strategy ahead of Slash in fifth. Both gained 9 places in the race in the end. So Slash in 5th ahead of Tickerby 6th, Bree 7th, Eduk in 8th ahead of Robertson 9th, Callum in 10th, Stormy 11th, Fusilian rounds off the points positions in 12th. Stephen Roebuck and Brandon did finish the race despite being a lap down, so fair enough from them for continuing on. Matt, unfortunately, as well as Paul, Packer and Ashvin, all did not finish the race.
Yeah, and this is the end of the first preseason race. Next week we'll go on to France, and hopefully we'll see you all there.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Hopefully everyone is back for France. We hopefully get more drivers in as well. Maybe commentating over some completely new people next week. Who knows? But yeah, thank you everyone for racing today. Before we get this stream finished and me and Dylan head off to our first preseason race of the season, who do you think who are you going to give driver of the day to today?
I think I'm going to give it to Caesar. Caesar had a brilliant race. Starting from P13, was it? It was 13.
13, yeah.
13, and finishing in P4 on a different strategy. Yeah, good race from him. I'm going to give him driver of the day.
Yeah, good stuff from Caesar. I would probably give driver of the day to Tiger, just based on how dominant that race was from him. Caesar's definitely a close second. Great stuff from him. But yeah, in the end, Tiger looked unchallenged really today. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you for commenting on the stream as well. Thank you for watching. Tune in to whatever lobby number we're in. I've completely forgotten.
Me too, actually.
Yeah. Tune in to that. That's going to be commentated over by QVR Dakar and QVR Verstappen. D2 commentators from last season. But yeah, thank you, as I said, to everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Dylan, for commentating alongside me. And we will see you all again at the same time next week. Thank you very much for tuning in, and goodbye.